The New York Police Department under fire tonight over an incident caught on multiple body cams in which a young woman approached police Tuesday afternoon in Harlem as 22-year-old Elvin James, who authorities say was in possession of a ghost gun, was arrested for attempted murder. The woman, 19-year-old Tamani Crum, walked up to the scene and, after being told by officers to step back, ended up being pushed to the ground. Earlier today, the NYPD released this body cam footage of the incident. Now, on this show, we don't selectively edit police videos the way you might see on another show. So we're going to show you now footage from another angle, in its entirety. It's a full minute long, but this is too important to cut this stuff short. This is the footage from the body cam of Detective Kendo Kinsey, the officer who actually pushed the woman.
Relax.
An attorney for the woman's family condemned the officer, saying, quote, he absolutely used excessive force. We're talking about a 19-year-old young girl versus a grown man who's approximately 3 times her body weight and size. Now it's the gender card. Look, I'll let you all decide for yourselves if you think the force was appropriate, and there will be an investigation where they will try and assess that. But you tell me, if the officer had been white, would the attorney be focusing on something other than the gender and size of the woman? Now, New York City Mayor Eric Adams is defending Detective Kinsey and the other officers, saying they showed great restraint throughout the encounter.
I tell New Yorkers all the time, don't endanger yourself, and don't endanger other officers, and don't endanger the public. At a safe distance, you can video what the officers are doing, but you should never go inside a scene of apprehension. And if you look at the video, the young lady was inches away from the person who was armed with that gun. That action endangered those police officers. And you can't do that as a civilian. And I take my hat off to those who apprehended the suspect, who showed great restraint to do so without discharging their weapons, who followed the rules and kept their video cameras on.
And what's clear is that this is a person who should not have been inserting herself into a dangerous situation. Cops will tell you that one of their greatest fears in situations like this, when there are a lot of people around, is that things can get out of hand. So acknowledging that she should not have been there, it's still a fair question to ask, was the amount of force appropriate? Let's ask Michael Alcazar, retired NYPD detective, now an adjunct professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. Thanks so much for coming back on the show. We appreciate it. All right, so we're going to play some of the video over you as you're talking. What do you think? I mean, what do you think about the level of force that was used here?
So, normal citizens, law-abiding citizens, the uniformed presence alone will stop you from coming into an arrest scene. This young lady did not. She got closer. We don't know if she had a weapon. And then she was giving verbal orders to move back, and she didn't. So the officer went to empty-hand control to push her away from the scene. When he pushed her away, she started punching, slapping the detective, and he reacted again with empty-hand control to minimize the situation. And it just looks terrible because, you know, she fell to the ground.
Well, I think part of the problem is that it's a woman, right? And suddenly people are saying, oh, I heard someone yelling there, you know, oh, she's just a little girl, or somebody yelled something like that. That doesn't matter in the context of this kind of situation, whether she's a man or she's a woman. When someone comes up and puts themselves in a scene, and again, As I said before, whether the amount of force that was used was appropriate will have to be determined. But this notion that, oh, she was a girl, she's a woman, she's a young woman, that shouldn't matter.
No, absolutely not. It's a dangerous situation. They just effected an arrest of a perp with a ghost gun. They still don't know what's going on in the scene. They're trying to remove him from the scene. She's interrupting the arrest, and she's completely in the wrong.
Talk to me about why officers fear these kinds of situations, where it looks like there are a lot of people gathering around there. There are a number of officers. You know, I've talked to a lot of police officers who specifically mention these kinds of scenes being ones that they're concerned about.
Sure, it's a large crowd. We don't know if there's other weapons. I heard that people were spitting at the officers. We saw in previous incidents where bricks and bottles were thrown at officers. So it's a very dangerous situation. And they have to keep eyes on everybody. And then this person just injecting themselves into the scene just makes it more dangerous.
So how does the investigation go from here? Literally, like, what happens now within the department about this kind of situation?
So they're going to, I think Internal Affairs is going to review the video. They're going to see if he followed department policy, which I believe he did. And I hope the mayor backs him like he said he is. I believe Detective Kenzie did the appropriate response. Yep. It was the necessary response for the situation.
Well, look, the bottom line is some of you may disagree, some of you may agree, but the important thing is that we've shown you the entirety of the video. And what a lot of the media does in these kinds of cases is they show you a little snippet and they don't show you the perspective of what led up to it and what happened afterwards. Michael Alcazar, thank you very much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Go to NewsNationNow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.